I was born and raised on a farm in Denmark. My dad, when I was sliding around there, he's like, what's that ever going to lead to, right?
How do you get a car to do that? Like sliding sideways at 60, 70 miles an hour and then catching the drift and going the other way, I was just blown away. You get your own leaderboard.
Who made your score up? Did you do your own? Because that's a good score.
Welcome back, everybody, to Stickshift. Our next guest is an accomplished race car driver, but he also has the world record for the longest drift ever. Everybody welcome Johan Schwartz. What's up?
What's up? How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, it's a pleasure. How can you not love Utah?
It's a beautiful place.
It is.
Great people.
Great.
All the sugary drinks you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. Try to stay away from those.
Right. We don't do like alcohol and drugs, and so our drug is sugar here in Utah.
And work.
Yeah, right.
A lot of startups out here. It's amazing.
Somebody decided to call this place Silicon Slopes.
I can see why.
Yeah, ski slopes and tech companies. That's kind of what we do. It all kind of began with WordPerfect, if you remember that one.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember that.
Yeah, it started right in our backyard here at Brigham Young University, where I attended, and Brett and Chris did too. This is kind of a surreal moment for me. So when I first met you, I was like, you are a celebrity. Like this is huge. I can't believe it. And you were a driving instructor at the BMW Performance Center down in South Carolina. 2016, I think it was. And I just couldn't believe like the hot lap we did at the end of that car control experience. I was just like, how do you get a car to do that? Like sliding sideways at 60, 70 miles an hour and then catching the drift and going the other way. I was just blown away.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny you should say that. I enjoy doing it, as you can see, right? I've been doing it for a long time and still enjoy doing it. And when I was born and raised on a farm in Denmark, my dad, when I was sliding around there, he's like, what's that ever going to lead to, right? So, and here we are today with you, Ethan. So that's a pretty accomplishment here, you know. So anyways, I enjoy doing it. And it's amazing what you can do in a car. Obviously, you have brought your level up. I witnessed it yesterday drifting in your Ariel Atom. And we also went to the indoor karting track, and you were right there where you needed to be, you know, so I could tell your determination from when I met you in 16 till now has really improved. So
thank you. That's really, really kind. No, I've done a couple of driving schools and like, you know, superbike motorcycle schools and stuff. And I mean, I'm a total hack. I've never actually driven like raced wheel to wheel, but you have. And I think even back then you had already been a few years into your professional racing career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't even count how many different you know, World Challenge, SRO, IMSA, maybe
a little bit of IMSA.
Endurance stuff. Yeah, you just can't seem to get out of the seat.
No, I enjoy it. I'll do it for as long as I can, and somebody asks me to drive in their race car with them, right? So benefit from many years of experience and not crashing the cars a lot, right? You got to bring it back to the finish line. We know racing or fixing a car can be very expensive, right? So that has kept me in the seat and being reasonable fast.
That's something that I hadn't really considered, because like you can be fast, sure, but if the car never makes it back, or it's 2 or 3 cars per race that you're chewing up, those GT3 cars are $500,000. So like, you can't they're not exactly disposable.
They're not, and you know, I mean, you can go in for a hero pass. If it sticks, it's great, right? But so you always have to do that risk reward calculation when you're in the race car, whether it's worthwhile making that pass or taking second place for the points, right? Or for the podium or for the sponsor or whatever it is. So, because there's not like where you can, you know, raise yourself up and keep running if you fell down as a runner in a marathon, right? And kind of make it back up. Once you're done, you're done. You can go from the highest highs to the absolute lowest lows if it doesn't work, right? Yeah.
I can name some of the cars that you've been driving recently, including your diesel Cayenne, which is awesome. I love diesels.
Love that.
You got the GT3 cars, the Genettas, the all kinds of stuff. Going way, way back, I think you started with a diesel.
I did. Well, my first car was a diesel.
Yeah.
It was a kind of hand-me-down. I still had to buy it from my dad. He got a new car for his, and so I enjoyed the diesel back then. It was a Nissan Patrol, which is not sold in the U.S., kind of similar to a Bronco.
Yeah.
And
is that the one that you were sliding around on the farm?
I very much did. I have both video, you know, 8mm or what, not 8mm, VHS or whatever, and some pictures that I still have to this day where when it had snowed in Denmark, I would set up a course and I was out there doing the Ariel Atom or Stick Blomqvist rally back then was my big passion. I wanted to drive rally cars.
That's awesome.
And then we had a 2-acre pond, so when the ice was thick enough, then it was pretty much any car. We also had some old beat up cars. We made our own studded tires. We made studded tires for the front and then no studs in the rear. So then you really slid around, right?
Crazy.
And
so are you removing the tire and then screwing screws in from the inside? Kind of like that?
I did. So we took the tire off and we had wooden bolts that has the round head. So we drilled the hole in there, put that in there, put 2 big washers on either side, and then a nut so that we had a little stud sticking out, and then a inner tube into there. And they actually surprisingly held up.
So it was a radial that you just threw an inner tube into?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The first one I did was a little mini mascot, 850 cc. If the British, which is now owned by BMW, right? But had that front wheel drive and no studded tires in the rear and 3 tires in each, and just made a big oval and that, scared all the wildlife away. But my dad's device, he's like, roe deer, is what we had back then. They all went away, but that's how I learned how to drive. My dad hated the cold, so when he asked me can you go out and start the car, I always would go, and he was always somewhat late to certain things, or he always asked me early so they would be nice and warm. And so I was out there on the pond just doing laps in his car till he finally waved me in and he was ready to go.
That's what he gets for sending you out in the cold to start the car.
That's right.
And you were just hoping the ice was thick enough.
I was hoping. Well, we did check on that, and I had some friends whose mom called to make sure that we were doing the right thing and measuring the ice and if it was safe and all that.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have an issue ever with the ice breaking.
Risk taking and sliding cars is kind of in your blood.
Yeah.
How long in time was your longest drift ever?
It was 8 hours.
You mean 8 hours, not 8 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. Every time when somebody introduces me as the longest drifter, I say, guess how far I went. Just as a kind of like maybe 30 seconds, kind of thing. And how many feet? Oh yeah, 230 feet maybe, so it's kind of funny how that is. But obviously I had very good conditions, right? I was made for it. It was wetted skid pads, so the friction was low. We could keep the same set of tires on there.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Yo, you're a bad man, Johan.
And then I could go around in a circle, right? So I could maintain my steering. Like you said, with the Ariel Atom, there's still areas on that skid pad that are a little more slick than others, so you have to constantly work the steering wheel and the throttle back and forth. So it wasn't like you would set it on cruise control. But I did, in my practice, I actually made myself change the radio station, made some phone calls, so because I knew that I could lose concentration, so how quick I could get back to concentration, that's what I did. And I come to find out, I was like, I can make some phone calls. Maybe I'll do that on my drift. And I started calling some of the BMW folks that had been involved in the drift, and they were like, Johan, they didn't expect the call, right? So that was kind of funny. So I did that while I kind of got settled in. So
It's your first time driving an Ariel Atom.
it is.
It's your first time driving on these goofy plastic rings I've got on the back of a car. We've got our leaderboard back there.
Okay.
It says drift scores. We've had a few guests, and we've got me, Brent, and Chris up there to start with. But you get your own leaderboard.
Who made your score up? Did you do your own? Because that's a good score.
I wrote it, so
Yeah.
I could probably be blamed still for some shenanigans.
Yeah.
Let's check out your lap. I think it's going to be a little bit different than the average guest. So we take an overhead shot of you run, and then we calculate average drift angle as you go around. You just crushed it. You're obviously, you're going to set the standard for this show, I think, going into the future. So how do you think you did?
I felt like I did pretty good.
To everyone else that was there that day, we thought you did flawlessly. So Johan Schwartz, 36.38 degrees, which is insane. Right there. Ta-da! I was talking to Brent about the theoretical max of what is even possible. At full lock, if a robot was modulating the throttle on flat ground, it's only like 40 degrees. So you're just a couple away from absolute perfection. Great job, Johan.
Well, thank you. Enjoyed it.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, but we're not done yet. we're gonna do a little challenge.
Okay.
So we're at Spa in Belgium.
All right.
Not too far from where you grew
I
up.
heard it's a great track. Unfortunately, I haven't been there yet, but
I was able to go there last summer. It was absolutely incredible. That doesn't mean I'm an expert by any means, but we're both going to be in Ferrari 488 race cars.
Okay.
At Spa.
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get a little head start, and your job is to catch me before the first lap ends.
Gotcha.
All right. I'm gone.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
So one of these big turns coming up.
I'm coming you after, Ethan.
You got me. Oh man.
Barely.
All right, that was a fun challenge. Johan, thanks so much for coming on.
That was awesome.
Thank you everybody for joining us on Stickshift. We'll see you next time. As I slam into a wall.